Hi there, I'm Jen Cassetta, your Chief Badassery Officer. If you're feeling drained, hesitant, stuck in self-doubt, or you just have a case of the vlogs, the Art of Badassery podcast is here to help you unleash your mojo once and for all. We'll provide you with tips, techniques, and real-life examples of how you can kick ass in all areas of your life. You'll learn how to flex your mental muscles, rise above fears, and turn setbacks into superpowers. So let's enter the dojo and let's get to work.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Art of Badassery podcast. I'm Jen Cassetta, your Chief Badassery Officer, and today I have a most special guest, and at the most divine timing, I'll tell you later why, that is joining us today. I'm so excited to share Judi Holler with you. Judi Holler is a professional keynote speaker and entertainer, and let me tell you, I am watching her, I've been following her, I'm so inspired by her, and now I'm so honored to have her on my podcast. Judi, welcome.
Oh my gosh. Jen, it is so good to be here. And just thanks for that love, girl. Cannot wait to get into it with you today.
Well, instead of a professional bio, everyone, I'm just going to read a couple lines from her website that I absolutely love that sum you up. And I'm going to read it obviously in your voice, but I was born with the last name Holler. So it's no coincidence that my life's work has been using my voice to move people into massive action so they too can find the courage to age ambitiously. I love that. And holler at their dreams. Skip a couple of lines down. Now, here I am at the age of 47, a hot pink wearing, graffiti loving, hip hop obsessed, slam poetry performing, hype woman on a mission to help others age ambitiously and holla at their own dreams so they can kill it in life and business too. My word, Judi.
Holla. That's a little mic drop. If I had a mic that I could drop, I would do it. I love that that's what you picked up and pulled out. And even as I hear you, I sit here and receive it all. I just was listening to you going what you may not know listening to this is what she read just came out into the world on December 1st. It's a brand new website, a brand new air quotes brand reveal. But in truth, it is me finally coming back home to myself. And to hear you say that, I was born with the last name Holler on purpose, right? I don't think God gave me that verb by accident. And now I'm able to sit on shows like yours and hear that reflected back to me. It's just another reminder of the power we have always inside of us. We are enough. And so many times we look for things outside of us to validate us and to make us worthy when really, truly, what makes you unique is, was, and always will be you. You are always the secret ingredient. So what is that thing about you? Because no one can take you, right? Nobody can take my holler out of me, right? So I feel so proud of it. And at 47 years old, I've kind of come back home to myself. So I guess I'm on a mission to help people shave some of the time off that. I wish I would have done this at 40. You know what I mean?
Oh, I do understand because I'm the exact same age. I'm 47 as well. My name is not a verb. It's a noun. Cassetta in Italian means small box.
Small box with a loud voice.
Yeah, exactly. Maybe
with badass energy.
A cassette tape player or something like that.
A small box. Yeah, literally, you're a little mixtape. You're a mixtape. That's what you are.
Right. And at 47, doing the remix again. So I've been watching you with this remix over the last few years. Judi and I shared an event where we literally crisscrossed each other. I was already heading to the airport. She was somewhere else. I don't know, but we were speaking at the same event and just each other. So this is the first time I'm getting to connect with Judi in person, and you can see already why I love this woman. Judi, I read your book. Fear is My Homeboy, everyone. You must check it out. It is chock full of actionable tips. It's inspirational, right? With the tools too. So I love that. But what I noticed in your story, and really, again, if you're an avid listener to this podcast, you hear me say this every time. Why I invite people on this podcast is because in my eyes, you're a black belt in badassery. And what that means is that you have overcome lots of challenges, major challenges to get to where you are. And now you share that with others. You share your gifts with so many others to help them rise as well. So with that said, what I noticed in the book, something that you didn't talk a lot about, but is your past, your upbringing.
Yeah.
Can you share a little bit about having a difficult parent? How much or how little you want to share is all good. And then bring us on the trajectory of how you now are this incredible keynote speaker, traveling the country, doing so well professionally. I want to hear it all.
Oh my gosh. Okay. Well, let's start with the mommy issues. Okay. I think when I wrote Homeboy, which came out in 2019, by the way, so Fear's My Homeboy dropped in 2019. And it's interesting, this book, and, we were talking about this before we went on the air, that, I don't believe there's coincidence in anything, right? And if you think about what happened, and then when you trust the divine timing of your life, and certainly lean into the faith you have, if you have a faith, and whatever your faith is, you can start to go, oh, interesting. This is a divine realignment. This is a divine assignment. Oh, this was meant to happen right at this time. Because if you look at what happened in 2020, everything, changed, and life as we know it changed. And, old Judi would have loved to say, oh gosh, well, let's say this. One of the things I talk about in my book, Coming Back to Badass, is you can either be a victim or a badass. You can't be both. Okay. So we are badasses. We are not victims. So victim thinking would have been like, oh, but it's not fair. My book came out in 2019 and then the world shut down, and oh my God, but the badass goes, ooh, my book came out in 2019 and the world shut down. People have never been more afraid. People have never been more ready to confront their fears. People have never been more ready to step into who they were born to be. People are ready to make moves and take chances. And maybe, just maybe, this is when God needed my book, because it is on its own assignment. And that sort of alignment is what sets one free. So this is the little book that could, and she continues to do big things in the world. I'm working on book number 2, but when I was writing that book, I knew that my mother had to have a place in the book. But if I'm being really honest with you, and by the way, if you too have mommy issues, holler at your girl, let me know. The more I share these stories, on stage, even if I allude to it in small, subtle ways, it's amazing, because I'll say, hey, anybody else in the room got mommy issues? Because I think as a speaker, you can talk about something hard on stage until you're fully healed from it. Because now I can talk about my mom, because I have done the trauma work, and I am reading the books, and I have gone through the therapy, and I have laid down my sword, and I have healed what I've needed to heal in myself to be able to move forward. And so I can talk about her on stage in really playful ways. And I say, anybody else got mommy issues? And it's amazing the hands that go up. Wow. Sadly, but also comfortingly, because then I'm like, ooh, maybe I'm meant to be speaking about this. So when I wrote Homeboy, I didn't give it too much airplay because I was still really afraid of my mom.
Wow.
I mean, if I'm being honest, I still am. I think I probably always will be. But now I'm healed. And when I wrote Fear is My Homeboy, I was not this version of myself. I was a bit more unhealed. And so I knew I needed to talk about it, and be honest in that way, because I think it's a big achievement to be able to come out of the dark and into the light,
and lay down your sword. That was so powerful. Lay down your
sword, but I didn't want to give away my power too much to the monster that sort of is the relationship I have with my mom. So so that, my mom is she has a lot of demons and unhealed demons. My mom is an unhealed human who hadn't parented 4 kids. I was the oldest and I was the girl. And I just kind of represented, and to this day represent, everything she could not do for herself, everything she wished she could be in this world. And instead of loving me for it, she hates me for it.
Oh.
And for so long, as a woman, as a female, I don't have kids. I think this is a big reason I got married at 39. I made a lot of life choices because I did not want to. And I don't think everybody should have kids, or I don't think everybody needs to have kids. And for me, I knew I wanted to break the cycle. I knew I just couldn't.
Wow.
I think I needed to shut it down. And, good or bad, it's the choice I made. But I knew that if I didn't do the deep, dark dope work on myself, I was going to end up in disease, because disease in your mind and in your soul and in your heart manifests as disease in your body. And so I love myself too much to let that happen. So I have read all the PTSD books and the childhood trauma books and all the stuff, and worked through a lot of therapy over the last 3-4 years. And now I can sort of more confidently and courageously talk about that. But yeah, I mean, as a girl, like, that is jacked up when the first female role model in your life is like, I'm gonna make your life miserable. Like, you are, you know what I mean? Like, every time you shine, I'm gonna ruin that day so big and bad for you, from homecoming to when I would be in pageants to performances. Like, it would just, like, anything she could do to put a lid on my light, she would do it. And it's interesting because look at what I do now in the world.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Complete opposite.
And I don't think I was a mom on purpose, because I wouldn't be able to do this work. And now I'm a mama in so many ways. I'm able to mother myself, mother other women who sort of may have mommy issues, and mother the women and the people and the humans that like make up my community, that see me on keynote stages and come into my course, and just whatever it may be. So that's a long answer to like why I didn't expand, but also how that played a role in my life, because I would be a completely different Judi Holler had I not had my mom as my mom. And I'm so grateful for it, because it's made me, it's given me every gift that I have. But I'm not a victim. She's the victim. I'm not.
Right. It's made you exactly who you are, and who you are from an outsider is a light, a bright, shining light who shines on others. And you're making this world a better place. So I just want to acknowledge you for that. And those of you that, I hope you read the book out there, Fear is My Homeboy, you'll get a little taste of what Judi had to deal with as a young girl. Like, it's not easy. And the whole point of this podcast is, I think, to show folks that most successful people, and when we say successful, whatever that means in society these days, the bright, shiny lights, I mean, you look very, very successful, and I know you are, but from your social media, your brand, all of it, it's like almost always the case that those are the folks that have gone through such rough times, right?
Dark nights of the soul. Yes.
So much so. And that's what I want to bring to light, normalize that, because that's what your whole book was about. And I know you're on a new mission now with Holler as a verb, and we're going to talk about that. But Fear is My Homeboy.
Yeah.
It's really about normalizing fear, right? We're all afraid of things. I really don't love these inspirational quotes with, I am fearless. I think
me too. I hate that word. I hate that word.
Fearless. You can't live a life in this day and age and be fearless.
No. It's bad advice. It's bad advice. And I think if you're afraid, you're probably doing it right. I mean, think about your work. If you feel fear, like, if someone's following a little too close, if you shouldn't go into that parking garage, if maybe I should get walked to my car tonight. Like, we have these, especially as women, we get these intuitive hits that are gifts. They are divine little, pieces of data that we can either ignore or use to our advantage. And so, fear is going to keep you safe in really, truly dangerous situations, but also, like, it can literally be a clue. If you're like, for me, if I'm afraid, it's probably something that I need to do, because the fear means I'm going to grow. The fear means, oh my God, what if I mess up? The fear means, what if people judge me? The fear means, oh my gosh, I'm not ready. I'm not worthy. I mean, every single time I step on stage, every single time I send a pitch email, every single time I jump on a podcast interview, there is that flicker of like, oh God, you know what I mean? And I'm like, okay, good. Then I'm in the right rooms doing the right things, because that's the whole point. So I don't know. Fear for me is like a big clue, like one of my best friends, my ride or die. And fear keeps me safe. And it also keeps me moving in the direction of my dreams, because we got to keep moving. We got to keep trying new things. Like, you follow me on Instagram these days, you're going to see me rapping and trying custom beats and doing my poetry. I'm like, let's go. Like, okay, and like do it in public. Great. Let's go.
Yeah. I'm so impressed by it. I love it.
More of that.
So, getting to know Judi, I know that we're the same age. Both of us don't have children. Our lives like really are our career. We love what we do so much. So I feel you so much on so many things. And I'm a huge fan of 90s hip hop. And Judi basically is a rapper. Like, she is a poet. She's an entertainer. Follow her on Instagram and LinkedIn. She's posting it everywhere. But you're now on stage entertaining, like performing, not just a keynote speaker, right? You are a performer, and there is a difference.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, it's something I've always I started working with a new creative director. I had sort of been like praying over this. Like, I was like, oh, I need, like, send me the person. Like, I needed, I had lost, it was interesting, January 4th, a year ago. So January 4th, 2023, the person who had sort of been my right-hand person in business resigned after 5 years, very unexpectedly. And, I say very unexpectedly, but I knew. I knew it was coming. I blurred a lot of lines. I learned so much as a leader, and, change is hard. And I knew I was changing. I was changing out of her. She was growing out of me. And I don't think anybody wanted to have the conversation. So we were just like covering up the conversation. Then one day she's like, I got a job, I'm leaving. And I'm like, okay. So here I am on January 4th, 2023, like, okay, it's me, myself, and I. And obviously, I've got some contractors that work for me and people that make up the larger scope of my team, but that like internal person, that one person that's kind of like your right-hand woman, right? So I was just like, let me pray over this, because there is someone I have my eye on. And actually, this is a pretty interesting story. So actually, this will come back to hollering at your dreams and doing it on stage. Because sometimes we need people from the outside to help us pick up what's lying dormant on the inside. I don't know about you, but like introducing yourself or writing about yourself, or like doing your own website or editing your videos. You're like, I can't stand myself. Can someone please? You know what I mean? So
I'm looking for that person. So yes, I know.
It's so hard. She resigned on January 4th, but all December 2022. So literally a year ago, December, I was like, okay, here's what it's going to cost to bring this person on. I had already kind of opened the door. I knew what the fee was per month, like the monthly stipend. And so I was like, all right, if it is meant to be, bring it into my life. Praying, crystal source. I live up in Arizona. Like, give me all the woo, but of course, deeply connected to my face. So I just prayed over this number. And lo and behold, that person resigns on January 4th, and her base was the exact amount I had been praying over.
Oh, wow.
So I say, well, interesting way of catching my attention and giving me what I want. This is not how I thought it was going to look out, because I had no one. I was like now on my own. This is the person I had handed over the key. My old person was like the person I had handed over the keys to my kingdom. Like, she ran my business. And so here I am, like ground floor. And the woman I brought into the business was the same amount, like per month. And so I said, okay, now I got my answer. So divinely aligned, this group comes in and we start getting to know each other, and we're here in my office at my house, and tell me about Judi as a kid. What were you doing when you were 8? All this, opening of files, folders, books, like getting to know me so much as a person. They're like, hold on. So you mean to tell me your last name is Holler? You love to rap. You actually can rap. You do poetry. You perform spoken word. And you are doing that in public anywhere? Like, we might need to change that.
So you were just doing it like in your bedroom, or
it was kind of like this secret thing. I think she was starting to come out a little bit in like 2019 and maybe early 2020, but the world changed so much. And I got so afraid, and cancel culture, and just how the world just, I thought, how dare I, how could I? And oh my God, I'm just going to sit here and hide and keep my little virtual bookings and keep this corporate machine going. I make my living as a keynote speaker. I have to play the game right. How dare I? How could I ever say what I really wanted to say, do what I really wanted to say, be who I really wanted to be? Could I holler at this dream? I don't know. No way. I'd get canceled in 5 seconds. So I hid. Fear was not my homeboy for a few years. Fear had me in a chokehold in not a good way. And so bringing these women that are actually from the fashion space, completely outside of the keynote speaking world, real true creatives and artists. And I work with the graffiti artists, like just bringing these people from the outside sort of helped me wake up where I am today. And that is how the work I'm now doing got onto a keynote stage, because this group of women, one specifically, shout out Sage, pushed me to do it in public. She's like, I need you to rap on your Instagram. This was like April of last year. She goes, I'm going to need you to do, I'm going to need you to rap on your Instagram. And
wow.
Like,
talk about pushing you out
talk
of
about pressure being a good thing. I talk about this in my keynote, this notion of, how do you think diamonds are made? Diamonds are made because pressure is applied. And I think so many of us want to avoid. Like high heat, baby. Like so many of us want to avoid pressure. Like we think it's supposed to be easy.
No.
And it doesn't mean you can't have ease in your life, because maybe you're going through, I have a girlfriend who's going through a deep trauma right now and a deep loss. So the pressure that high achiever needs to apply in her life right now is rest. And turning off the noise. And that is pressure for a high achiever. Sometimes for me, just taking a walk and turning it off and taking a day off is pressure. Like holding myself to the discipline of just being in my life, right? That is still pressure. So I don't know, dreams need deadlines. And they started giving me deadlines for all of my dreams and saying, by Friday, you're going to post a rap. By Saturday, you're going to the poetry slam. By Sunday, you're going to do this, like, right? So I think we don't have to do it alone. And I think, really looking around you and investing in the right people to help you bring it all together is just a beautiful thing to be able to do. But that's kind of how it started. It's like a really big loss of a team member turned into one of the biggest gifts I ever got in my life. I
love this. Listening to the backstory, right? Again, it's all about, because what you see when you go on Judy's.
This is the behind the music interview with Judi Holler.
Exactly. Like, I want to know how people do it. How do you do this? And while you started telling that story, I just want everyone to know that, well, I was like shedding a tear here because you said January 4th of last year, and today is January 8th, the day that we are filming this. And I shared with Judi that 20 minutes before we got on this call, I got one of the scariest calls that I've gotten in a while, that me and my husband are gonna be kicked out of our home that we've been living in for 8 years. And like, partially devastated. And at the same time, the work I've been doing, that I know Judy's on the same path, is this aligning with a higher vibration. So if that fear is maybe, trying to hijack my brain right now, I'm only giving it a little bit of space. I'm giving it like this 10% space, okay? Because the 90% of the space is really having to tune into how this is going to be even better on the other side.
Oh yeah. Jen tells me this, you guys, like we don't even record. We're not even recording yet. And she tells me this. She goes, I got to tell you something. And I was like, well, make sure first, are you okay? You don't have a disease or a diagnosis. She goes, no, it's not that. But still, this is a life shift. I got full body chills and I was like, yes, I cannot wait to see where you go. Like I instantly got so excited for you. And that January 4th story was the biggest lesson for me. Like losing that team member, you could take any loss in your life. We cannot avoid pain. We are going to lose people we love. We are all dying. Nobody gets out of this alive. We will all face a potential disease, diagnosis, death, disruption,
heartache, disappointment. failure.
None of us are getting out of this. So the question is, how are you going to rock with it when it comes your way? Because I can't control it. So, okay, you got to go. Okay, a man, like my person left. Okay.
Right.
So what, okay, my mom hates me. Okay. What are we going to do about
it? So can I ask you though,
my God, I want to start rapping on stage. Okay. What are we going to do about it? You know what I mean? Like, geez.
You're doing it. But when you said you prayed, because again, I like to, on this podcast, get the hows. How do people overcome? How do they?
Okay,
but
let's
right
get
now,
into
how do you manifest? Like you obviously have manifested a whole better thing. So you said pray, but tell me, can you go a little deeper into that?
This is such a good question. So I have some very, very deep thoughts on this. Like deeply divine dope thoughts on this because I am in it. Okay. So number one, let's get clear on what manifestation is because it's a very pop culture. It's very trendy bendy. Everybody's talking about the flow and the manifestation and the candles and the vision boards and all the things. And listen, I am here for it, but let's be clear on what it is. Manifestation is setting an intention, getting really clear on what you want. Never forget and write this down that your fortune, whatever it is that you want, lives in your ability to get focused. Fortune lives in focus. So we got to get clear on what we want. So we set an intention. And then here's how you manifest. You give that intention attention. You holler at it. You holler at it. You go be the verb. And if I looked back at my life as I worked with this team and did all the inner work, I had a whole full-blown spiritual awakening. Go Google it. There are literally like 7 steps. Somebody came into my DMs and they're like, Judi, she's a DJ I love in Chicago. She's like, Judi, I hope you don't take this the wrong way. She's really spiritual, really like, almost like shaman-like. She's like, hey, Judi, have you had an awakening? I go, what do you mean? She was a spiritual awakening. And then pause, Google, what is a spiritual awakening? And then there's like 7 steps to a spiritual awakening. I kid you not, go Google it. It's profound. Totally had one. So all these people that have been sort of with me on that spiritual awakening journey, they are all a part of the verb that is me taking action aligned with what I really want for myself. So whether you're trying to find yourself again, or maybe you're bored and you're in a rut, or you're stuck in stale conversations, maybe you don't like your spouse, your partner, your friend group, the house you're living in, the apartment, the way you look, like all of this is like changeable, right? Like you have the power right now to holler at a different choice. And that is why I believe so much in this verb and the verb that is manifestation, because we can have all the best intentions in the world, but if we are not willing to sit down and take action, to be the badass, to do the work, to holler at it, to pick up the phone, to pitch, to ask for what we want, to go on the date, to light the fancy candles if we want to, whatever, to start the diet, to go on more walks, like, and then the other thing paired to this, Jen, is, so that's number one. Give your intentions attention. We have to be the verb. And number 2, I think so many of us don't slow down enough to hear the whispers of wisdom, to hear God. We don't, whatever God is for you, like we are so stacked up. Like as I'm talking to Jen, I have like 5 planners right here off to my side. And like,
I
look
do
at my list for today, right? Like it's insane. But we're so bogged down by like other people's priorities and emails and invoices and contracts, especially as entrepreneurs. It's insane that we stack our schedules so tall with other people's priorities and so thick with other people's to-do lists that we lose our own. And I just stopped doing that. I was like, this Midwestern people pleasing, don't want to hurt anybody else's feelings. God forbid someone doesn't like me. Be gone.
She's gone.
I had to literally check myself before I wreck myself because I cannot be responsible for other people's opinions of me. The only thing I can be responsible for is the intentions I set. And the action I go give them. And those intentions can be very personal, like spend more time with my husband, be nicer to my husband. Or it could be like, hey, I want to scale my business in this way. I need a new team member. They can be personal and professional, but that's how you manifest. So that's how I did it. I slowed down enough to listen to God. I started talking to God. literally.
Mm.
I was like, hey, goddess, me holler. How you do? I'm not kidding you. I can't even believe I'm telling you this, but like, this is true. I do a lot of praying. I am a very spiritual person.
Mhm.
I have the right team around me. I definitely sought a lot of advice outside of the keynote speaking world. I
That's
catch a
smart.
lot of inspiration from graffiti artists and tap dancers and poets
Mm.
and art and fashion designers. And I really lead with design strategy in my business because I'm so visual and that's like my
Yes.
Gemini brain. So I date my creativity almost every week where I take myself somewhere once a week. This is a artist's way, Julia Cameron. I
Oh,
can't take
yes.
credit for it.
I did that book.
Yeah. So I try to like date her, date myself,
Yeah.
go see the world. And that's me slowing down to catch
Mhm.
things from the outside. And that's how all this really began is just,
Love that.
oh my God, what if, you see something on a wall. I'm like, oh my God, what if I made a graffiti suit? Or what if I
Yes.
did this? Or, oh my God, what if we start making holla hoop? Like, I don't know. I just think we got to slow down a little bit to listen. And so I schedule it. I schedule it.
Yes. Yes.
I
I
schedule
love
it and
that.
it is like a day, just like my sales calls. I have like golden hours in my calendar and we're
Mhm.
traveling. So like if I'm
Yeah.
booked on a keynote, of course my travel gets flux, but like there's certain things every week that I'm like doing, the
Mhm.
workouts,
Mhm. Mhm.
critical, the sales efforts, critical. I let that
Right.
slip. I let that slip for the last 2 years and I paid dearly for it. I'm paying dearly for it because I handed over the keys to the kingdom to someone
Right.
else and then
Right.
they left. And then what do you do? Never again. I will
Oh,
never again give away my power.
I love
Ever.
that. And I've learned that lesson multiple times, but I want to just say a couple things that came to me while I was listening. One, manifestation, when we were talking about that. So tonight I'm giving a digital vision board workshop, and
Oh, fun.
sorry if you're listening to this, it already passed. um,
Next time you're going
but
to have to do it again.
I do it every year. So I started last year and I'll be doing it every year because I love it so much. So I take a vision board, I make it in Canva, and then I plaster it on my phone screen, on my laptop screen.
So good.
And again, it's not magic, right? All it is telling your brain that these are the experiences that are important. These are the experiences that I want to create in my life. And then all of a sudden, these things, you're going to hear these whispers. So for example, last year, January, just this time, I put a picture of the Dolomite Mountains on my vision board. Okay. I didn't think it was going to happen anytime soon, but 6 months later, I have a picture of myself at the top of the Dolomite Mountains, a year to the date of my hip replacement surgery. Okay. So it's not, again, it's not magic, but what happened was someone I knew, I spoke on her podcast and I saw she had a hiking trip to the Dolomites, right? The Italian Alps. And I was like, oh wow, that's weird. That's on my vision board. Really interesting, right? Because we have some things on the board that's like out there and some things that you're going to make happen like now.
I love
So that
this.
was like an out there one. But my brain picked it up as like, oh, that's interesting. Let me ask more questions. So, oh, I see it's sold out. She's like, well, I could make more room. Oh, interesting. How much is it? And instead of saying, how can I make this happen one day? All of a sudden the opportunity was there. And I said, well, how can I make this happen now? And
That is the essence of hollering at a dream. You can
yes.
have it on a vision board, but where's it at in your calendar? And when
Mhm.
that thing that's on your vision board, whether it's the Alps or a beach or whatever, and see, this is it, Jen, because so many times things will come, lyrics will drop in, ideas
Mhm.
will drop in, opportunities will drop in,
Yeah.
people will drop in. It'll be standing right in front of us, but we
Yeah.
don't catch it. Most people don't catch it. It's
Right.
those of us who catch it that
Mm.
change our lives and manifest the lives. These are the people you're looking at. They're like, oh, but Jen's so lucky. Oh, Judi, she's so lucky. No, I'm not lucky. I am just focused and brave.
Right.
I am really focused and I'm really brave, right?
Yeah.
I have a high tolerance for no. I have a high
Mm.
tolerance for pain. And Jen, I have full body chills. That is like
Me
a
too.
perfect example, but it's like putting it on your phone and having it on your computer. Yes, you're looking at it every day, but you also, Jen, to give you credit, you had to catch it. You had to be
Oh yeah.
brave. You had to be the badass. You had to say, I'm
It
going
was
to holler at
terrible
this.
timing, like financially, all of that. I
All
should
of
I
it. Yeah.
should not have gone on
Oh,
that
I
trip.
love that story.
But at the same time, it was like, how could I not have? I would have
Yeah.
let that dream pass me
See,
by.
there's no coincidence. There is
Right.
no coincidence. I love it.
Exactly.
I love it. And
Exactly.
it's
So,
possible for anyone, like anyone listening right now. If you are hearing
mhm.
this, you were meant to be, if you're still with us, you were meant to be listening to this podcast. You were meant to have Jen and Judy Booty Holler in your ear right now. Okay. And there is something big on your heart. You know what it is. We all
Yeah.
have that thing where we're like, I wish I could. God, could
Mm.
I ever do that? That is
Yeah.
just crazy. Could I ever? Well, let me be living proof that it's possible.
And will you do me a favor, everyone? Will you find us on Instagram? I'm
Oh my
definitely
God,
going
I
to be
would love it.
posting reels, and I want you to holler your dream at
Holler at
us.
us. Holler a dream
Dream.
at us. Because here's
Yeah.
the other thing about it,
You
Jen.
never know who's listening.
That's the thing. This is the thing. You have to put it out. And one of the things I talk about on the keynote stage, like the signature story I end with, and sometimes I begin with it, it just depends on the room, but is the notion of 15 years ago, I was in a bar. I had a whole other career. I was in hospitality sales and marketing. I was selling hotels and
Wow.
ballrooms and convention centers for a living. Now I speak. I guess I'm still in the events business. I just now
Yeah.
speak on those stages.
Right.
But I had a whole other career, and I find myself sitting in a ballroom off of Michigan Avenue, and there was a speaker hired to talk about finding your passion, finding your purpose. There were like 500 people in this ballroom. And at the very end of his talk, he looks out at the audience. He's like, all right, who in this room is ready to stand up and tell me what their passion is? And I kid you not, I shoot up out of my seat like a cannon. I was the first to stand up. All my friends at the round of 10 literally were like so embarrassed. They were like, oh my God, sit down. Some of the girls were like bridesmaids in my wedding. We became very best friends. Like, this is a very famous story in my circle, considering what I do now. But 15 years ago, I stand up in this ballroom off of Michigan Avenue, and I shoot up out of my seat like a cannon, and I stand up and I point at him and I go, you. He goes, me what? I go, you. I want to do what you're doing. I want to be a keynote speaker.
Wow.
And when I said it out loud, when I hollered at that dream, when I used the power of my spoken word to bring that goal and that dream in, it was born that day. Like,
Wow.
she came to life that day. The people that speaker is still in my life, helps me to this day.
Oh, I love that.
And think of the people in the room, meeting planners.
Right.
I was at a meeting. I guess I didn't say this. I was at a event professional association meeting for all meeting planners and hotel
Like
and hospitality people. They were the first people to hire me and forward me contract examples and pass my name on. It was literally, so to Jen's point, holler at us on social and tell us a dream, because you don't know who's watching. You don't know. And how can if I don't know what you need, what you want, what you have to say, what you sell, how can I help you?
Yeah.
How can I help you?
Exactly. And sometimes just the power of saying it out loud.
Oh, it feels
right?
so
That's
good.
a seed. And I remember the seed planted in me about speaking when you were telling your story. It brings me right back.
Yes.
Tony Robbins event, hundreds of people in this massive stadium, clapping, hollering,
all of it
on our chairs, dancing. Like, I've been obsessed with him for so long.
I mean, he's the GOAT. He's the GOAT.
He is. And my dad would be listening to his cassette tapes, like, as when I was a kid. So implanted in me. So now I'm at these events and I'm like, oh my God, I'm looking around this room, people mesmerized and literally transforming in the moment, cracking open. Let's just say that for some people.
Yeah. He is such a gift.
And I just said, if I could do that, a sliver of that, affect a sliver amount of people, in my own small world here, I would live such a fulfilling life. And that was about 15 years ago as well.
See what I'm saying? I love it. I love it. What's a dream? Okay, I know it's your show. What's a dream you want to holler at right now?
Yeah. Me?
Do you have one? Do you have like a dream you want to holler at? I mean, I'll give you one. I'll say it out loud. Yes, I want to be like a motivational rapper. I mean, obviously, speaking's the love of my life, but to be able to turn up the volume on that and do that on stage, I write custom pieces as it is, but to be able to do more music would be really, really dope. So I'm hollering at that dream. If you know anybody, holler at your girl. What about you, Jen?
Yes. Okay, this is a dream, it's a vision, and I don't even know why yet. I just know that I've had so many whispers in the past, but I see myself speaking in the Middle East. And I know it's so random, but my book got one foreign rights deal. Guess what?
And that's it.
Arabic. I wound up traveling
Okay,
with.
me too. That is so weird, by the way. Our
Really?
twin lives.
Really?
Yeah, me too. The one language I'm published in is Arabic, and it's at my PO box right now because a girl I know up here went and did a TED talk over there.
Oh my God.
Yes, and yeah, so I will have
Oh,
it in my hands. But that is really weird, by the
I'm
way.
waiting
We have
for mine. I'm
okay, so
waiting
this
for
is
mine.
amazing. So there might be something there
Yeah. And
calling you
but
there.
there's been so many other, like I've been on Arabic TV. I've had
Get out.
a client in Saudi that I traveled around the world with. Like there are so many
Mm.
examples of that coming up for me in my life that I know that there's something there for me.
Okay,
I
so
don't
you're
know
on.
why.
I
I
love
don't
it.
know.
Okay, so you never know, but you never know. Now that I
Yeah.
know, it's just you gotta shout this stuff
Yeah.
out. But that's good
Yeah.
to know. I did not know that about you. That's
Yeah.
awesome.
Who knows?
I love
Oh
it.
yeah, I feel like I could write a whole book on traveling around the world as a health coach. So when I was health
Yeah.
coaching as a private health coach with this one client, his family, his coworkers, it was an amazing year and a half, pretty much, all over
Tons
at,
of stories
yeah,
that
amazing.
probably serve the work you do on stage so much now. That's amazing. And see,
Yeah.
like this is why we holler at our dreams because
Yeah,
you never know who's listening and you never know what door could open. And now I
exactly.
know it just puts it, it's like the seed is planted, right?
Yeah.
You've just kind of now you just
And
got to keep your
also,
eyes
if you're
on it.
listening, how about a house in Santa Monica?
Yeah. So now I'm hollering at this dream. I need to, you want a dream I'm chasing? You're like, I need a place to live.
Yeah. But an amazing place. Like,
Yeah.
so by the time this comes out, I'm hoping I have more developments for everybody, but literally you're all the first to know, or you're the first to know for
I can't,
sure.
oh gosh, it's going to be
Oh
um,
my word.
a
Yeah.
disruption that I think divinely realigns you in some
Yeah.
exciting ways. So
And
I'm
isn't it
excited for
funny
you.
too? Like I'm sure you're here and I'm sure everyone is still riding the wave of the new year and how excited you're gonna make all these plans and you're
Yeah.
gonna, create all these visions and dreams and then something just lands in your lap like a bomb, like woof.
Yes.
And we got to figure it out.
I don't know about you, but like I feel like the older I get, because it's just the one thing about youth, like aging doesn't scare me so bad. I mean, there's definitely some frustrating things about it and whatever, because
Mhm.
you're like, oh man, that's never hurt before, or oh, I
Right?
have to work a little harder to like make these jeans fit and like whatever. But like the when you're younger, I don't know, you're not as um around death and loss as much. And I think the
Yeah.
older you get,
Yeah.
your parents and your friends' parents, and my husband's 9 years older than me. So his parents
Mhm.
are already gone and things are starting to
Mhm.
move like that in our world. So
Yes.
these days, I don't know about you, but I'm kind of always like, I'm very positive, pretty joy filled,
Yeah.
very faith filled, but I'm always like kind of bracing for impact.
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
like, oh God,
Oh, yeah.
you pray for the best, you
Mhm.
pray and you hope for the
Mhm.
best, but you're always preparing for the rain. And
Yeah.
I don't mean that in like a negative way. I think that
Right.
can give you an edge so you're prepared, but I'm always kind of
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
because the phone call's coming, the
Mhm.
things are going to happen, you're not getting out of this life
Mhm. Mhm.
scotch free. So I think it's also just a big old permission slip to like every healthy, beautiful, happy moment you
Yeah.
have, like,
Oh,
God, don't waste it.
yes. So this was one of my questions was like, okay, you talk about fear so much and hollering at our dreams. What happens if we don't? Literally, like what's going to happen? Because so many people let their dreams pass them by.
Oh,
What's the
the
results of that?
graveyard, that Les Brown calls it, the graveyard of dreams.
Oh,
He's like, somewhere there's a graveyard full of, oh guys, please go Google this quote. It is
mm,
spectacular. I cannot, if my eyes were good, it's above my computer,
oh,
reminding me to not allow my dreams to ever end up in the graveyard of dreams again. But Les Brown, I
mm,
paraphrase, talks about the graveyard of dreams, like that there is a place somewhere with so many unwritten songs and
mm,
composed orchestras and inventions that were never invented and medicines that were never made and all these books
wow.
that were never written,
Mhm.
songs that were never sung, all because someone was too afraid to take the first step.
I just got chills.
Like literally, he's like, I don't need you to take all the steps, but someone is too afraid to take the first to holler at it. And
Mm,
sometimes the first step is just what we did here today,
right,
saying it,
right.
speaking it, writing it down,
Mhm.
putting it into existence. And then, okay, what is the next brave thing I can do here? I don't need to do all the things. I have no idea how to make music. Okay. Like
Right.
produce like real music,
Right.
but I can pick up my phone and I can write. I can
Mhm.
start making some beats. I can play with music that's already been produced, like the Beastie Boys and Snoop Dogg and like some of my like favorite, like,
Yeah.
you know, rappers and performers. These guys have already paid all the big bucks to produce the beats. So maybe I just start taking instrumentals and playing with that and writing my own original lyrics. But I can do that. And then maybe the next day I find something new I could do. So the point is like all this stuff, that's the answer, regret.
Mhm.
And all of this stuff, these dreams, these goals, these inventions, these designs, these beautiful things that can change and shape our world end up in the graveyard of dreams, all because someone was afraid to take the first next brave step. And we can't, we should be on a mission to stop that from happening.
The graveyard of dreams. It makes my chest tight when I think of
Yeah.
it. It makes me sad.
So
And
sad.
want to holler at one more dream that, I don't know how I didn't say this, was I'm really also see this happening. I just don't know how. And if anyone is a Mike Dooley fan, you know the cursed house, right? So you have this dream, but you get stuck in the cursed house. Sometimes you just don't know how it's
The
going to
curse of
happen.
house.
The cursed house, the cursed house. Don't get stuck in the cursed house. But anyway, I don't know how this is going to happen, but I know that my book is going to be a creative media project. So a TV series, something like that,
Dope.
where we go through white belt to black belt. You know, we follow a woman's story, all
Love
the
it.
that she's overcoming and using the dojo wisdom to overcome them. So I know that's happening. And so, for example, what are baby steps that you can take? So I started contacting folks that I know in the entertainment industry. And they're not, no one's doing it for me yet, but maybe they're going to introduce me to someone else that might be interested. Maybe there's someone else out there that loves martial arts and thinks it's an awesome idea. So planting little baby seeds and taking just even baby steps in the direction of your dreams can get you closer. That's it.
Still matters. It's still a touchdown in my books.
Yeah.
And you know what happens when a touchdown happens on any football field or a goal happens on any hockey? It's like that momentum.
Yeah.
It's palpable, and that's what you want. And I don't know about you, but like when you send an email like that on behalf of this dream you have, or I pitch myself, or I spend a morning in sales, or I'm so all right, go to the gym and I lift the weight. I'm like so proud of myself, and it just that is an energetic transfer. And you are sending big, big, big signals to God, source, universe, all of it, that you are serious. And we open doors for people who are serious. Dreams need deadlines. We need some pressure. And hollering at our dreams is the way to apply some pressure so we can be as lucky as everyone else seems to be, right?
Right.
Luck is just courage.
I love that.
No, a lot. I have months where I'm like, oh, damn, I should have saved more money. Like, what was I thinking? What was I doing? Never again will I give away my power. So things can look shiny on the outside, but at the end of the day, we're all humans, and we can either learn from our mistakes, or we can be held hostage to them. And I know in your world and in your community that's not acceptable. We are badasses.
Oh, absolutely. Everyone listening, I have chills. I have had chills throughout this entire podcast. I hope you come away with so many golden nuggets, because I know I have.
Oh, me too.
Remember, I said in the beginning, this was divine timing for me, and you know why now, because I got that call 20 minutes before I said hello to Judi. So here we are, an hour later. Excuse me. Here we are, an hour later, and I am filled with hope, inspiration, but not in a woo-woo way, in a very tangible way. Like, I know what to do now, right? I know I need to make fear my homeboy. I know I need to do it anyway, take the baby steps, have deadlines.
Holler at your dreams, most important.
Holler at my dreams.
Speak it. Call your shot.
Please, everyone, do that. Let us know what your dreams are. Okay, before we wrap, couple things. I want to do these rapid fire questions.
Ooh, fun. This is like improv, my old world.
Yes.
My old world. I guess I'm still an improviser at heart. I think as a keynote speakers, we always have to sort of be able to think on our feet. But this is fun. I have no idea what she's about to ask me, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah. They're fun. Okay, ready?
I love it. Yeah.
1, what was your favorite food when you were a kid?
Oh my God. And it still is to this day, Mexican, everything and anything, Hispanic food. I love tacos, all of it.
In Ohio, they had good Mexican food?
I grew up in St. Louis and
Oh,
no,
okay.
but I did work at a Mexican restaurant. I mean, I don't care if it was Taco Bell, my dad making tacos from old El Paso. Like I was like, anytime I got to pick dinner, it was either breakfast or Mexican.
Okay.
So it's probably a tie between breakfast foods and Mexican, but if I could pick, it's always going to be like fajitas and margaritas.
I'm glad you're in Arizona because I'm sure you have
this is my dream. Are you kidding? My poor husband's like, can we stop with it? This is why I work out. I lift weights to be able to eat Mexican food, just so you know.
I hear you. I hear you on that. Number 2, if you could have a drink with anyone, dead or alive, who would it be and what would the drink be? First thing that comes to mind.
Okay, the drink would definitely be a skinny Cadillac margarita.
Cadillac
a
people.
really good glass of champagne. But it just depends on, okay, so God, who would I? Oh man, I would have to say, I believe, especially the work I'm doing now, we are both, and any woman listening, we are our grandmother's dreams. We are what they fought for. I think my grandma would be rolling in her grave every time I sit on at a fancy hotel and I'm sipping champagne and I've been paid to be there, flew first class there. I stay in a beautiful hotel room sometimes, you know what I mean? Like these beautiful places and these opportunities. I'm always thinking about my Grammy. I'm like, damn, she would be like women's rights and voting and not politics aside. That's not what I mean. I mean, like, think about she went through the depression. She would be rolling in her grave going, go get them, girl, with the bathing suits. So I would have a glass of champagne with my Grammy.
I love that so much. Okay. What's your favorite personal growth / self-help book?
Oh my God. War of Art. War of Art. War of Art. War of Art.
Okay.
Oh God, that's so hard because equal to that's Big Magic. Big Magic and War of Art.
Love that. I did read Big Magic. And then last but not least, what's your favorite hype song?
Oh, that's okay. Now you're really, really, because that changes every 5 seconds. But I would say nothing beats a good Lose Yourself by Eminem if you just need to get it going. You know what I mean? To remind yourself of your power. Like if you just need to just get it and remember who you are, just put that on blast and go make it happen.
So I'm creating a Spotify list with all of the guests so far and their songs. So that'll go on there, everyone.
Yes.
Okay. Last but not least, tell everyone where they can find you, where they can listen to you, where they can see you rap and speak and all the things.
Well, I think Instagram is the social media place I'd love to play on. So that's like my little playground at Judi, Judi, Holler. You can find me on LinkedIn. Just search me up. My website, judiholler.com. I mean, those are really the mothership places right now. I do have a podcast called Holler at Your Dreams. Awesome. We are in the middle of we're on a small pause right now. So I think coming onto my newsletter and just finding my Instagram is the place to be right now. And if you want to do any speaking like me and Jen, I have an online course that is available and I could be your mentor. So that's called Speaker School and that's on my website. So I think those are the most popular, my podcast, my Instagram, and then of course my newsletter and my online course are kind of the places people come play the most. So DM me, literally, I'm the one in my DMs. So if you've listened to this and found any value or, want to just connect, let me know you found me through this podcast and I'll give you a big old shout out.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, Jen. This was fun.
From the bottom of my heart, I'm so excited to share this with everyone. Everyone out there, thank you so much for listening. And you know where to find me on Instagram at Jen Cassetta, so you can tell us your dreams. Show notes will have all the links, all the ways to sign up for both of our newsletters and all the things. So I really would love to hear your comments on this podcast because this was truly a good one. Thank you so much, everyone, and have a wonderful day.